Everybody, welcome to the VO Dojo's Demo Listen Derby. I'm Tish Hicks. I am the Master Sensei of the VO Dojo here in Burbank, California. We have a recording of a replay of the Demolition Derby that happened this morning, and we just got a little late on the starting the recording. So wanted to thank you all for being here. We are super excited to hear what your takeaways are, and hopefully this will be a very powerful couple of hours that will help put you in a modality of understanding what demos are, what how they're used, what makes a good demo, how yours might compare. Um, and we're super excited that you're here to be together and learn with us. So enjoy the Demo Listen Derby. One thing that I do also want to like set everybody's minds and hearts at ease. Um, Demos are very personal things, right? As voiceover artists, our products are ourselves and our voices. Um, so just also recognize that anytime your demo is being listened to, it's a subjective thing. It's who is listening to it, when, why, all of these things. So everything that Brittany and Ryan and I will be sharing here are sort of our takes on things, our points of view. It's not the be all and end all. It's a point of view, and the experience of having someone respond to your demo. Um, but just to make sure that it is a personal thing, and there's nothing personal about this, and this is our opinions, our subjective points of view that we're sharing. So take what is useful and release what is not. Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
I love that, Tish. And just to add a little nugget onto that, what the three of us always say when it comes to demos, especially when we're listening down to a bunch today, um, come from a place of if your demo is getting you the audition opportunities, opening the doors that you want it to, getting you on rosters, then it's doing its job. Our job today is to give you some things to think about if your demo is not working for you, or if you're not getting the opportunities that you want, or if you haven't even made your demo yet. And this is a new thing for you. So, exactly what Tish said, if something doesn't resonate and your demo is working for you and getting you all those opportunities, great.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it working.
yeah, yeah. Good. Um, so let's see. Let's run through. I'll share the Run the Gauntlet document, some of the things that we'll be listening for, and then Ryan, after that, you can explain how we're going to roll, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
sounds great.
awesome. And we will have time for questions and stuff at the end. So, um, yeah, okay. So let me share this. Okay. Um, so can everyone see that? All right. Okay. All right. So we're going to kind of be thinking in layers of impressions. So we're first going to run down everybody's demo in a sort of like beep beep pop boop, listen real quick sort of way. So we're going to be doing a first impression of your voice. And here's some of the things we'll be listening for and that you can be listening for too. Pop, does it grab me in the first 3 seconds? Am I with it? Cut through. Does your voice cut through? Is it also grabbing me? Does it like bring me in? Connection. Does it move me? Is it true? Is it authentic? Likability. Do I want to spend more time with you when it's done? Um, and units. Do I know it's you when your demo is done? Does it share what's uniquely you? Will also be middle impressioning. I guess depending on which our point of view is, right, Ryan? Because you're going to first impression like that sound was terrible. Yeah. So this is another layer of impressions. Production quality, sound, music, effects. Is your voice the first thing that comes through? Competitive skills. Does it sound like something that I'd hear on the air? Is it a national sort of thing that I hear on the, is it something I'd hear on the air nationally or regionally? Those sort of things. Um, Range. Do I have a good sense of all the facets of your voice? Um, Contrast. What is way different? Or does it all sound the same? Um, Versatility. Can I interpolate what you can do in between? Like, for instance, if this spot is distinctly blue and this spot is distinctly red, I can probably assume that you can do something in purple, right? Because you can do these things. And versatility also, I think, is an indication of directability. Oh, you can do that and you can do that. I'll bet you can do this too. And then the energy. At the dojo, we talk about a thing called the cellometer, which is a gradient of intimacy and energy. But like, how are there different levels of energy that you're able to deliver? And then the lasting impressions of, is your demo current? Is it up to date? Is it reflecting the trends? Is it online with the brands as they are working now? Humor. Does it make me laugh? Does it find you're funny? I think that is one of the keys to a really, like, that is always something that grabs me on a demo. Go, oh my God, that made me laugh out loud. That was so funny. And oh my God, you think that's funny. That's great. Um, Pacing. Do the spots flow at the right rate? Um, Surprise. Is there something you weren't expecting? Is there a cumulative effect? Um, Rhythm. Does it take me on an enjoyable ride? And more importantly, do I want to go again as soon as as I'm done? I always love the image of your starting your demo being like the start of a roller coaster ride, and it should go woo, woo, vee, woo, va, and you come back in and go like, "Ooh, I'd like to do that again." Um, Marketability. Do I know exactly what I can do with your voice? Do I know how I'm going to be able to get this to market if we're working together? And vibe. What's your thing? What's your vibe? And most importantly is undeniability. Is it something that I can't resist? Like, oh my gosh, who is this person? I need to work with this voice. Um, And Ryan, why don't you take it from here? Because I think you do a great job of explaining that demos exist in context or listened to in context. So,
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
yeah.
And that is true. Yeah. So one of the big takeaways that Brittany and I want to share with everyone today is like, once you've made your demo, and we'll talk more about the mechanics of like actually making the demo, but once you have it and it goes out into the void, and it's out there doing the work that you hope it's doing for you, your demo is never listened to in a vacuum. That is the most important thing that we could share with you today, is your demo is not listened to in a vacuum, meaning that when you send your demo out for consideration for any type of job, it's always being listened to in comparison, not only to the other demos that are available, but to everybody's internal register of what these things sound and feel like out in the real world. Because you have to remember, like with commercials specifically, when you're in the grocery store, you're hearing commercials coming at you, whether you're aware of it or not. When you're in the car, you're hearing commercials coming to you, whether you're aware of it or not. When you're watching TV or, streaming or whatever it is, like these commercials are a huge part of our lives. And we all have this internal bank of how these things feel in our systems and stuff. And so when your demo goes out there and is representing you in a particular way, it's not ever in a vacuum. So the expectation of, I'm going to send this demo out and this person is going to sit there and give me their undivided attention and the benefit of the doubt and they're going to look at me and they're going to weigh all of my life experience when they listen to this demo. Unfortunately, it's just not the reality of how things go.
Yeah.
You know, in a casting office, a very typical situation, and one way that demos get used in order to book you work is your demo gets sent in for a particular job. And somebody like me would then take those demos, which could be as many as 300. And my job is to pare those 300 demos down to my top 10. And then those 10 get sent to the client for casting, for their final listen and who they decide. And so that is the process that we're going to mimic as much as we can today. You know, obviously there are some things that we don't have that we would have if we were in a casting office,
Right.
which is listening for something specific. So the client would say, hey, you know, hey, Ryan, we're looking for a sassy female voice, somewhere in their like 30s, 40s, with like a good grit and texture to them for this athletic thing. And then that would be my filter. And I'd be like, okay, go, cool. Like, let me go into these 300 demos
And pare it down.
and let me pare it down to what feels like fits into that filter.
Mhm.
We don't have that today. What we have is kind of this broader approach of authenticity and having things that come out of the speakers in a non-distracting way. So that's kind of our filter.
In a way, think of it almost like if we were agents, talent agents, and we're like, okay, who do we want on our roster? Who do we want to add to our roster?
And so when we're listening to these demos back to back to back to back to back, certain things start to pop out because our brains are pattern machines, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is what everybody in this room is a born expert at, is a pattern recognition expert. And so when you start listening to these demos, one after the other, it becomes apparent faster and faster which ones are like, ooh, that resonates with me. That feels authentic to that person. Or, ooh, that person doesn't really understand what this is. Or, oh, that feels really distracting. Or
dated.
Or have they ever heard a commercial before? Or like whatever it is, like these things start to pop out in this context. And so as a way to kind of calibrate your ears today, that's kind of how we want you to think about it. Is we're in this casting office together and we're considering bringing in, you know, these demos onto our roster of people. And we're really listening for how these demos represent these people, especially in a commercial context. What do you like as a person?
Yeah.
You know, what are you like when you come out of the speakers? Is this somebody that I want to get to know? Or does everything feel super fake and really put on? You know, does everything feel like it belongs out in the world already? And it feels like I know where it is, like my inner library of commercial wisdom that we all share in different ways. Like it's vibrating in sync with each other and things ring true? Or is it like, whoa, like, no way would that ever be acceptable out in the real world, for lack of a better word. And so this is kind of how we're calibrating to these things, all with this kind of umbrella of authenticity and that your demo is not listened to in a vacuum. Yeah. And so, you know, we're really going to be honing in to those things today. But like I said, like in a real casting situation, there's going to be a brief. There's going to be we're looking for this type of person to fill this type of thing. And then the demos get filtered through that way. One other thing to consider as like a way we're going to go through this, just to kind of give you a taste of how fast and furious things can be in a casting office, you know, because obviously if you've only got an 8-hour workday
and you have multiple briefs
and there's multiple briefs coming in, so it's not like you have all day to get through one brief of 300 demos. Like I, at any given time, would have 10 or more briefs to get through. And all of them required me to do this filtering process down through these demos or through these auditions or whatever it might be. So to get through all that, you can't possibly listen through a demo from start to finish and really like sit there and like close your eyes and be like, yes, that voice, so creamy, delicious. Oh yes, that voice, so awesome. So whatever, like you just can't do it. And so in order to get through this workload, you kind of skip around. You take a little bit at the beginning, take somewhere in the middle, and you take somewhere at the end. And you just listen for a few little snippets. And that's how I was trained to do it. And you'd be amazed at how just listening to 5 seconds or so here, another 5 seconds here, and another 5 seconds there, how quickly you can start to build a picture of who this person is and where they might fit, what their strengths are, what maybe some of their weaknesses are, all of these things. Like, you can build a really quick impression of them. And that's how we're going to start today, is we're going to start with this kind of 5-second chunks at a time, which is how it would first be listened to in a casting situation. And then, because of the nature of this event, because there's so many people, if we have time to go through and listen to a few demos from start to finish, that would kind of be the next step. And that's how I would have done it in the casting office. I would have done this kind of piecemeal thing. And then once I got the 300 down to 50, then I would listen to larger bits. And then once I got that pared down to my 10, then I would listen through the whole demo just to make sure that the range is represented, that the roller coaster ride that Tish was talking about is represented, that I can feel confident that the client is going to hear some version of something that they are excited to hear in and amongst the waves of the demo. So it will eventually get listened to from start to finish. It's not a scenario where I'm sure some of you have heard, oh, people only listen to the first spot. Not true. That is true sometimes, where you listen to the first spot to get a very, very fast impression and then on to the next. But your demo will eventually be heard as a full presentation of you all the way through at some point. Our job is to make sure that nothing gets in the way of that happening. So when we're clicking through these small bits, we don't want anything nasty to come out of the speakers. We don't want anything confusing to come out of the speakers. Inauthentic, or same, where it's like, oh, I heard that already. Oh, I heard that already. Even clicking through. So it's kind of where we're coming from for all of this stuff. And so I think it'll be a really fun little adventure.
It's a whirlwind.
And just like Tish said before, like obviously, like what Brittany was saying, we're all available for free 15-minute things, and whatever links are going to be peppered throughout the chat, throughout the call for both of us. And then also, like, we're all coming to this from a place of wanting to help you. There is no judgment. There is no, you're bad, go to your room. This is all about helping open your ears up and kind of open you up to how big, wide, and wonderful the voiceover world is. And also that a lot of people are really deep into this. And so you can lean on us today as we're giving you kind of our insights and stuff, because it's coming from decades of listening to demos and auditioning and working and living and breathing in this industry. And so we want to, impart as much of that wisdom along the way as we can to help you take whatever that next step is for you.
Yeah. And Brittany and Ron, I think I would like to, I know we've got a bunch of commercial demos and we have some other genres. I would like to see if we can get the demo listen derby part of this. Like, the idea is that we listen through quickly, and then there'll be a few that we listen to more in depth, and then maybe one that we listen to all the way through or something like that. But if we can get through that process in one of the genres, I think that will be a valuable thing. And then if we have time to go to the other genres, I think it's also good for people to have a sense of, okay, so this is a commercial demo. This is a demo from a whole nother genre that has a whole nother criteria and what we're listening for, and in some ways, not whole other, but different things, different jobs that they're doing. So
we're absolutely. And we'll so we will be talking fast. We will be giving notes quickly. So have a piece of paper and let's get ready to party.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
I think we'll start with the commercial stuff first, just because
that's the easiest.
Commercial is the gateway drug to all of this, right? So just in case for anybody that isn't already aware of this, your commercial demo is usually your first demo that you want to make. And the reason why is because it opens the door for all the others. And it's the first thing that agents and most clients are going to want to hear from you, because in today's market, a commercial demo represents you as a human being. It's just you. If you walked into a room on the feeling your best, feeling so amazing, and you started shaking hands with people of like, oh, hey, I'm Kelsey. Oh, hi, I'm Aaron. Oh, hi, I'm Eric. Who are they meeting? That's your commercial demo, right? And so by starting there, the assumption is that if your commercial demo feels authentic and you can be you, then the assumption is that you can be somebody else, right? But it's not always the case. Some actors really struggle with kind of embracing themselves and being vulnerable in that way. And so it turns out that, you know, they might be filled with 27 different kooky character voices that are represented on their animation demo. But when it comes to their commercial stuff, they're not able to get that traction with an agent or open that next door for them because they really struggle with that level of authenticity. So I think we start with the authenticity and then we branch out.
Then we go from there.
So let me share my screen, and we did a sound check earlier. You're going to hear our voices change because I'm going to make it high fidelity for the streaming. So we might sound a little wonky in a second, but just
we're not important.
Hang on. So
there's
that. And then let's go to here, and then we'll share the sound and make it awesome. High fidelity. Okay, great. So everybody should be seeing my little Finder screen. Just a thumbs up would be great if that's happening for you.
See the screen?
Okay,
perfect.
See the screen. Great. So let's jump into the commercial stuff first. And then let me create a next folder just so we have it. Okay, perfect. So let's jump in and listen to some demos. Should we start at the top or the bottom?
We'll start at the top. I think we did bottom last time.
Start at the top. Okay, great. So this is Amanda. So as again, for this round, this is our getting it from 300 down to something more manageable. So we're going to be listening to small chunks and getting our impressions of all the stuff we talked about on the gauntlet from our little chunks for this first round. And then we'll listen in more detail later.
Yeah, so the three of us will almost swipe left, swipe right, but we'll also say a little bit about why, because that's where the learning comes. Like, oh, this is what I'm hearing. So we'll try and keep the discussion tight. That combination of yes or no, and a little bit of why, so that we have time to go more in depth. So,
and if you guys, if you have questions about our feedback or want us to go more in depth, please get on our calendars.
That's what it's there for. Don't be shy.
All right,
let's party.
Being a mom can be tough, especially when my kids don't feel good. That's why the people you've shared your music with. That's what 𝗏𝗏𝗀 is all about. Wouldn't make it past day one, but tell that to this bouncy 2-year-old. Just create big learning moments. Check out the entire Touch Magic line.
Okay, so that quickly, as quick as we can, right? For me, the first thing that I noticed is that the demo did not feel like it existed out in the real world. I noticed that some of the branding and the clients that I heard in our little snippets, they registered as like false for how I've heard those clients advertise out in the real world. And so that was one of those things that was a distraction for me that prevented me from actually paying attention to Amanda and what she was doing and her energy, because I was instantly like, that doesn't sound right. And so it threw my brain off. And so I wasn't able to connect with Amanda, even though I like Amanda's vocal print. And I thought that Amanda could definitely like stretch out more with her acting choices and stuff. But there was a lot of distractions in there that prevented me from connecting with her.
Yeah, and we definitely got the mom vibe multiple times. For me, I wanted more range as we were clicking through. Also, for today's industry, commercial demos are right around 60 seconds. So if it's too much over that, then that makes it feel that, oh, maybe this is an old demo. So something to keep in mind. So for me, it would be a pass because everything felt the same. And I agree with Ryan. Some of the clients were not authentic to how their branding actually is.
And I thought really really nice, relatable. The first spot, clean, strong, clear. And then it was kind of just tiny variations. Again, a lot of the mom stuff. I was intrigued in the like kind of guitar-y one. Yeah. So like really good, solid, and what makes it undeniable, that's the next part, right? Really good, solid, what makes it undeniable. Okay.
All right. Onward to the next.
Christopher.
And Ryan and Brittany, maybe, and me, maybe if something's already been said, we'll just say ditto that and then add.
Oh, I love that.
Sure.
Okay.
There's nothing like the roar of a Harley.
Your friends think you're buffering? Crush that slump with Monster Energy drinks.
From the sleek lines of our design to the seamless, yeah, I'll jump off that cliff kind of people. Rebel Yell Bourbon. Taste the spirit.
Cool. Right out the gate, the first spot sounded like a real commercial. It sounded like how things translate out in the world. And so I was intrigued and it brought my ears in, which I thought was really great. Ditto to what Brittany said about the demo being 60 seconds. It's 23 seconds too long, and I definitely heard some duplicate energies across. So there's definitely things that we can get a little more aggro with in our editing to just get that thing cut down to a nice focused 60 seconds.
Yeah, the first spot grabbed me, and I would be curious to listen to more because what I'm missing is something more real person, relatable, like who you are, as opposed to the hyped announcer thing. So I'd be curious to listen to more.
Ditto to that. I'd be interested in listening to more. And that last one we listened to, like I felt it, like ooh, I got that. So I'd definitely be interested in listening to more. And ditto what Brittany said. Where's the real vulnerable or sometimes I think of like you can think of like what are you wearing? What are you wearing is a good gamut to have on your demo. Like, so what's just t-shirts and sweats, or just, or even more vulnerable, what's, stepping out of the shower, Christopher, like that.
Strip naked, Christopher. That's what she said.
Not in a sexy way. I mean, that's a whole nother thing. Like we could go there because that's our sensuality is each part of our own gamut as well. But I'm just saying, just kind of like, hey, this is me, sort of thing. Yeah, good.
Cool. Onward, Edward.
You've seen Chipotle's smoky adobo chicken. The fresh. Long live honor, and long live the truck that salutes those who build ingredients. You can end each day crafting a perfectly delicious dinner. Mount Sinai, changing the face of medicine. For you, for life. Chipotle, as real as it gets.
I'm glad we listened to that.
Yeah.
So for me, and again, because like this is the great thing about Brittany and I, is Brittany comes from the acting, the voice directing, that side of things. I'm coming from how does this translate out in the world, and does it feel like what we're all used to feeling and hearing when these commercials come on? And when it comes to a demo, it's really important to not think of it as a product, because then you start to get gimmicky with it. And having a Chipotle spot split up into two things and have it bookend your thing, it just feels...
It doesn't feel authentic.
It's not authentic, and it's unnecessary, and it feels like the demo is contrived as opposed to what we want, which is, you know, here's all this work that I've done, or here's this work that's representing me, and here it is in a interesting format so that you can hear my range and variety and get a sense of who I am. So when we start getting gimmicky with the demos, it becomes really easy in the casting office to be like, no, like that I'm not about the gimmicky thing. But from an acting standpoint,
yes, the first spot did not feel authentic to me, so I started off with I don't think so. However, everything we clicked on in the middle, I believed. I absolutely believed. And I was like, okay, yeah, Mount Sinai. Yeah, this one. So I would be curious to hear more beyond that first spot, because that first spot, again, didn't feel authentic to the client and acting internal wise.
and I think just as a way to kind of set this stage moving forward is, because a demo is a linear production, you hear one thing and then you hear another thing and then you hear another thing. What you hear first sets up what comes next, which sets up what comes next. And so in this example with Edward's demo, that first spot was a letdown. And there was a lot more meaty goodness in the middle that felt like it was more authentic to Edward's branding and his actual personality. So changing the order and bringing something that's more true to the front and letting that be the first thing we hear, it could make the current first spot that felt really distracting and very odd, it could make that make more sense if we were to hear something else first. Something to consider.
Let's call that rearranging the furniture. Once you get the pieces, then sometimes it really makes a difference if the couch is over here, or like how that works. I thought this is a really strong demo. It did sound like things that I do hear in the world with this kind of voice. Like that seemed authentic. And there was a range of different things that Edward's voice, that is this type of voice, that would be used on. One thing that I'd be interested to hear is, it seemed like there was kind of a similar pacing with the different kinds of things. So that I'd be interested to hear. Is there something a little, can you go a little faster? Is there variation? So I'd say competitive. Let's hear more.
Beautiful. All right, it's in the next. Let's go to Eric.
Okay, what looks better, this or this? If they look the same, it's chill, refreshing, gives energy. Red Bull, it's the only pick-me-up you need. But you already do so well. 𝗬𝗂𝗄𝗧 tortillas, familia made. And you owe it to yourself to try it. Rise, a cup of perfection. Power, Dungeons and Dragons.
This one's interesting. I love how I feel like this person, Eric, is very quirky and has such a fun personality. That being said, it was interesting. The first spot felt like a character spot as opposed to a real person. And so then I was like, wait, what am I listening to? What is this? And I felt like the acting was was not specific enough for each spot. I think that there could have been more specificity and more range when it comes to performance style, from the pacing and from all this stuff. And then also there were, I don't know if you guys could hear it on your end, the volume of each spots. So I couldn't hear one of them. Like I had to lean forward to hear it, and to hear his performance, versus some of the other spots that like came straight at my face. So that was jarring for me. And so it made it feel inauthentic and feel kind of homemade to me. So for me, it would, unless I was looking for a really quirky voice, it'd probably be a pass for me.
Ditto.
And I think there's something about like almost there's an almost playing at intimacy, like at being intimate.
Yeah.
But there's a little distance, like not just really, hey, I'm just talking to you like this. It's like, hey, I'm talking to you like that. There's just a little like understanding what needed to be, but more connection. I did hear good things like authentic, probably authentic, possibly bilingual
Mm-hmm.
things that are really good to have in a demo if that's what you're bringing. And I did get a sense of that. I would probably pass on this one.
Mhm.
We're working a little too hard.
Well said. Totally agree.
Great. And we're just going to pick one of these from Jenny.
We'll just do the first
We'll
one.
just do the first one. Okay, not a commercial demo.
Listen, that's Pete.
Okay, great. Perfect. We'll just skip these because
Play the second one.
I bet this one is
Keep being.
not a commercial demo. Great.
So so labeling is so important, right? So if you pull it back up again, so we can see it says the night moon went
The night
missing.
the moon went missing.
I don't know who Brendan is. And so it's labeling and data is very important. So for me, kind of hearing a couple of words of this, I think this is an audio book that someone was reading, that Jenny was reading, and she recorded reading an audiobook, which is great. But audiobooks are not commercials. So it's a totally different genre. So for that would definitely be a pass because it's not what we're looking for in this context.
Yeah. Onward to Ian then.
No matter how you families,
Stop touching me.
it's better in the industrials. The new Truly Extra is just for you. Cookie scoop. But if I had to venture instead.
Our anniversary is in May.
Yeah, I knew that. Okay, bye. Be right back, honey.
Great. I know you have a lot to say. I'm going to say the one thing. From a production standpoint, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but it felt like Ian's voice was like, if we thought of it like layers of a salad, it felt like Ian's voice was just like here on this top layer, and then like just this next layer of salad just got swapped out with something different.
But it felt the same.
But it felt the same every single time. That is a dead giveaway that all of this stuff is fake. And it's not, and again, it's our goal with the demo is not to be tricky. It's not to say, oh, I did all these things. It's to honor what these things actually sound like. So there's a difference there. It's not about trying to trick people into thinking that you booked all of this work, but it is about honoring what this work actually sounds like out in the real world. And that means being referential. That means paying attention. That means if you're making a rock song, you're probably not going to have banjos in it unless you're a very specific band. If you're making a country song, you're probably not going to have screamo vocals in it. We're just talking genre. We're talking understanding where you are. And I felt like this demo, from a production standpoint, and this demo didn't quite, it kind of missed the mark on that front. Mm-hmm. And then the one other thing in terms of structure of the demo, it is a very old practice to have conversations in a demo where you have different actors having a conversation. Even in this case where it's clearly labeled, like Ian is obviously the dude in the demo, and that lady that was in that,
and the kid
and all that stuff that was in the commercial is clearly not him. However, it's Ian's demo, right?
And this has happened before. Why show off someone else's work in your demo? I have seen it in casting where there's another voice is in the demo and the client's like, ooh, I like that voice. Who's that? And they reach out to the actor asking for who's that other voice in your demo because I want to book them.
Yeah.
Why show off anybody else's work?
Yeah.
So avoid that. There's so much you can do without showcasing anyone else's voice. For me, the first spot grabbed me. I really liked where we started. And then how we were talking about the ride, right? All the performances felt like they lived in the same space, the same pacing, the same acting intention and all that stuff. So I feel like there's a lot more room to explore. And so for me, it would be a pass because it all kind of lived at the same place.
Yeah, and this is interesting. I agree with that. However, it did capture like those same things. I got a good sense of who Ian is and what I could do with him. If that was what I needed,
yeah,
That would be great. So this is like where the whole intricacy of a demo, right? Because we do want that. That was authentic. That was true. What else? What else? What other aspects are authentic facets that can be used in other ways? Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Onward to Jason.
How do you define luxury? Perhaps I wear a Wayfair family. Free delivery on affordable furniture that takes it, and spring is in the air. The smell of new beginning.
In this economy? Yes. Our craziest ideas is a $5.
So this person, I do a lot of anime, and this person feels like he works in anime. There's some of the performance choices feel very presentational as opposed to real authentic. There, like that first spot, I was really interested, and I was like, ooh, okay. But then everything felt kind of put on. Like I didn't feel like I got to know Jason. If Jason walked in the room, I wouldn't know who I'm getting. Am I getting this like sexy, intimate kind of guy? Like, is that who he is? Or is he more relatable as a human? So I feel like, yes, there was range, but I didn't feel like I knew who Jason is. And it's not very clear of what bucket I would put him in.
And I think that's an important distinction, is range is different than just randomness, right? Where range, when we're talking about it in the context of a demo, is still held together by the glue of who this person is. Yeah. You know, it's like, you know, we all have different quirks and different individual things that like might surprise some people, but it still is authentic to you. It's not random. And I think in this case,
I'm not putting on a voice.
A lot of the range that we were getting was more of a randomness as opposed to a focused thing of like, here's who I am. And like what Tish was saying, here's me in these different outfits and things like that. Also, I was circling that it was 1 minute 43 seconds long. We've already talked about that. And then there was one other thing I wanted to say, but I forget. So maybe it'll come back later.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of the metaphor because like it's a yummy dish, maybe too much sauce on each one. Like just a little less sauce, but there was distinct flavors and maybe just a little less sauce on each one. Or sometimes I talk about frosting on a cupcake, but I think in this case it's more about sauce because it's more about the flavor. The flavor was there. It might just be too much sauce. But I thought it was an interesting range. So maybe it's more that the range with the authenticity.
Yeah.
And that reminded me what I was going to say. With this particular demo, it was, remember how in the gauntlet we talked about, like, where are these things from? Is this a regional thing? Is this a national thing? I had no point of reference for where these things were because the nature of the production was either so sparse and unspecific that it just made it unclear of like, am I listening to a regional radio spot right now? Am I listening to a national television spot right now? Am I listening to a Spotify ad right now? Am I listening to a YouTube thing? These things matter in the context of casting because we all need to have a point of reference. Otherwise, we're just out to sea like Tom Hanks, right? So we gotta be able to know like, oh, I'm listening to a radio commercial right now. Cool, I understand what this is, and that becomes a filter to help me connect with Jason or whoever I'm listening to. Or, oh, this next spot on the demo is a television spot. Great, I can hear that versatility. I can hear the shift in the performance. I can hear the range, right? I can hear what Jason is like doing a regional radio campaign. And then that sounds different, both in performance and production, to a national television commercial, which then sounds different in performance and production to the Spotify ad that comes next or whatever the thing is. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about range and context and authenticity. Is it's not randomness for randomness sake. It's about making sure that things ring true to how we experience them out in the world. So for that, I was going to pass on Jason for the next chapter. Let's listen to Jasper.
Know our Sonic Smasher? Meet the all-new Bacon Deluxe Sonic Smasher. Forrester. Love. is what makes the Subaru, and may the sense be with you. Hurry, this deal ends soon.
I love this vocal print. What an interesting vocal print. And again, it feels, it does not feel authentic. And Tish, since we heard that Subaru spot and you are a Subaru, voice of Subaru, how did that in this demo land for you?
I think that like the idea of a Subaru spot was like, oh, it should be this, or it should sound like this. It should feel like from the heart, and so it sounded a little making that happen rather than just living in it. Yeah. For me, I think this voice has a lot of potential. I couldn't understand it. Like, it was really garbly, really garbly, and I got different energies, but it was very garbly. So how do you keep your authenticity? But I need to understand what you're saying too.
Yeah, absolutely. Great note. All right, onward to Jeffrey.
There are no road signs on the southwest face of the 𝗴𝗂𝗪 Mountains.
A quick interactive
Frontal crash test ratings available.
Have you ever really embarrassed your
Dice. There is a certain timelessness out here. The land is always. Once upon a time, there was a king and queen. Well, they weren't really king and queen because, after all, this is a democracy.
Keep it up and pause it. So
There are no road signs.
like this voice grabs me. I feel like Jeffrey is working. Like, absolutely. However, what is 𝗨𝗃 Productions? You don't need anybody else's info on your metadata.
That's his name.
His name is 𝗨𝗃?
Mhm.
Oh, 𝗨𝗃 Productions. Oh, I didn't get that. See, I was like, oh, okay. So we want to make sure that things are very clear about what things are. And so if you are sending out your demo and you go by 𝗨𝗃 Productions, okay, maybe that's helpful. But it made me confused if I was going through things. So all you need is your name. Keep it simple. I loved everything. I could hear the range and stuff. My only thought is some of the spots feel a little dated. Like maybe these were things recorded 10, 15, 20 years ago. So I feel like he's been working for a long time. My question would be, okay, what does he sound like today? Like what, does he still sound the same? Would be my question.
I would agree, and which would make me pass on it because, again, it's 2025, right? So even if I'm like, oh, this person's working or whatever, unless I had a personal relationship with Jeffrey and knew like what he was up to in today's market and that I could trust that, I would just hear, oh, this sounds really dated. He's not necessarily connected to the trends of what's here right now, and it would be a pass. So that's how sensitive this line can be sometimes.
I would want to listen more.
Yeah, I would want to listen more. I think that the Jasper and the Jeffrey next to each other, Jasper I heard in process at the beginning of the journey, and Jeffrey I heard, oh yeah, this person is really experienced. This person knows a lot. And again, I would put it in because if I needed that voice and that voice of authority, that warm authority, and there was one that was a little more like, hey, what's going on? It wasn't completely all that, but like if I needed that voice, I would feel in really good hands.
Yeah, that salt of the earth.
With that, like that's another thing we didn't say, but like, do I feel in good hands with this person? Yeah. Yeah. So definitely would put that on.
All right.
Jennifer.
Onward to Jennifer.
Fairlife is the milk that gives you more. It's ultra filtered for 50% more protein. Vaping epidemic at 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝐶a.com. Do acne products make your skin feel like this? Strengthens it against dryness for instantly. Crayola Color Wonder. Find it in the Crayola aisle.
That's the best spot right there.
Yeah, I agree.
Or that's the one that rings the most true, is the one at the end, the Crayola aisle. Yeah, this is interesting. Impression wise, I was like, oh, I really liked Jennifer's voice and vocal print. I felt like I could connect with what she was doing. But then from a production standpoint, there were so many distractions in there that it made me confused about what was actually going on.
Sorry, our dog wants to be in the spotlight. Yeah, for me, I love the voice. I would want to hear even, I feel like we had, the range was really subtle. I think we could go further. Cause I really like the voice, and all of that. And I think we could be even more specific about branding.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting because there is kind of an interesting, like, sort of a flat tone, almost deadpan, teeny like could go to Aubrey Plaza place, but I didn't yeah, I think I'd want to hear another layer of authenticity and yeah, so it's almost there. But interesting to contrast, like putting everything in context, right? That listening to Jasper, then listening to Jeffrey, then listening to Jennifer, Jennifer kind of has a vibe of something that you might hear on air now that might be more like, hey man, you know, what's going on? As opposed to, hey man, what's going on? But, yeah, so that's kind of interesting. I would probably pass.
Yeah, I think I would too in that
Intrigued,
situation.
but pass. Yeah.
Really quick, if people want individualized feedback, should they ask during the Q&A, or would you guys like them to set up a call with you?
You can just sign up for the 15-minute call with Brittany and I.
Yeah. And with Tish.
And or with Tish, because that's what it's there for. So if you're looking for more in-depth stuff, that's what we make it available for. So no stress.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say not the or, just sign up for both of us, then you get two times
There you go.
times the info. Yeah.
And then Tish, because we're at the top of the hour, do you want us to go into the demos we pulled and listen more in depth to a couple of them, or continue on?
I think we should.
Well, let's see. Top of the hour, we have 1 hour. What if we pop through the rest as if it were Ryan's busy day and at the studio, and just kind of go, for the most part, yes, no. How about that? And then we can get a sense of what that is, or yes because one thing, or no because one thing. Then we kind of get a sense of what happens at that pace that we're talking about.
Okay, it's gonna go fast. Here we go.
Kaboom! One bite of Zippy Crunch. Feel your fun. Till you have to do it.
Okay.
No, I can't hear it.
Yeah, it's a no. I can't hear it. It's not produced well, so I can't hear it.
Yeah.
So it's a no.
Megan.
McCafe now has cold brew beverages, and they're smooth. And live seat back tea of chocolatey.
Megan's great. I would want to hear more from Megan.
Same. Too long, but I'd want to hear more.
And all a little hot for me, but I'd want to hear more.
Yeah.
Oh, it only sounds hot because we couldn't hear the last one.
That's probably we were all like, what?
That's all that was. Okay, Mike.
Bring your friends and your friends. Morning ritual. Had trouble remembering, like gumball machines? You put in a quarter, get a piece of candy?
It's too extra and it doesn't feel connected. None of the spots felt authentic, so I wouldn't want to.
There was one spot we clicked on second to last that I believed, but everything else didn't feel right. So it'd be a pass for me.
Yeah.
It sounded a little like grabbed my ears too.
Yeah,
it's a little much. Randy.
In here, you can expect to find endless. My life is nonstop joy. Track income and expenses with QuickBooks. Oh, I used to love doing my business.
This is tricky. The first spot, I was like yes to Randy.
100%.
The rest of the demo, it was a no to Randy. So it was very confusing.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Really interesting. Make sure that things translate well across the whole demo, that it's not just the first one that rings really awesome.
Because that's why we always click through, so it's not necessary to just have, oh, my best spot is the first one. They're never going to listen to the rest. We always will in some way, shape, or form.
All right, Rob.
Like any new chief, win by providing expertly.
No, it's too long, and it feels like Rob is just kind of doing things as opposed to understanding what the nature of the different clients and spots are.
It's what we explored earlier of like, it's a representation or presentation of these types of reads, as opposed to us getting to know Rob and what his authentic point of view is on these things.
Indeed. Steve.
It's always better to check first. Purpose. To start takes boldness. All that win your life wants? It's at Dave & Buster. Go to mhnational.org to learn.
Yeah, I would want to hear more from Steve. The demo's too long, and I heard some repetitive energies, but it's compelling, and a lot of the stuff rings true to what I've heard out in the world.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Terry.
Morningstar Farms has turned me into the mother I always wanted to be. iPhone. We spend a third of our lives in bed. Or waterways. With your help, we'll get there.
I'm torn. She'd go in my maybe column.
It would definitely be a maybe. A great voice. There were some spots in there I liked, but there were some that didn't feel authentic. I would listen again just to see what I'm missing.
I would say that too.
Yeah.
Okay, last one.
This is a long intro.
There's no vocal on this.
So that's all music.
It's a music track. I think this person uploaded the wrong thing. They uploaded their music stem. Okay, we did it.
You also wouldn't want to send away for a demo.
Correct. You for submissions and things, send an MP3 because that's what people are going to want to use and have, unless they request a wave. Sometimes they will, but automatically just go for an MP3
when sharing your demo.
When sharing.
Okay, so like that's how fast I would go. I would actually go a little faster if it was just me, because I wouldn't have to like explain stuff. But like that's how quickly decisions get made about, yes, I want to hear more from this person. No, I don't think they're a good fit.
Mm-hmm.
Is like that last little bit.
Or that like maybe. Yeah.
So assuming that your demo is like there's nothing distracting in it, that you've come from a place of authenticity as opposed to this representational, like here's a tree, but it's not actually what a tree is and sounds like and feels like, and you've made it into the next thing. So the next round in this situation is we're going to listen to these demos in a lot more length of time and continue to refine our things. Some people, what happens often is when you're clicking through, you get one impression and then you listen in more detail and you realize, oh, this is not as awesome as I thought it was. Or, oh, this is way better than I thought it was. Mm-hmm. So just because you got one layer of feedback to get your demo into this folder, that could change when we listen to it in a longer context. Yeah. So let's go backwards in this one and make it fun. And let's start with Terry's demo.
Morningstar Farms has turned me into the mother I always wanted to be. I mean, feeding my kids a healthy meal that they actually like? Who would have thunk it? Morningstar Farms. Why is it so hard to choose between 4 nearly identical photos of my cat? Because look at this little man. That's why. Lots of storage for lots of photos. iPhone. We spend a third of our lives in bed. With comfort like this, you'll enjoy every minute. The life-changing freshness of muslin comfort. Forget the shower. Take the...
All right. So again, because a demo is a linear presentation of things, as soon as we got past that first spot, things started to go downhill for me on this longer listen. I felt like we captured Terry's essence as like a young, cool mom on the go in that first spot. The second spot, that it was iPhone?
I didn't. As soon as you said the client, you lost me, because iPhone does not their branding is not that at all. I loved the spot, and I loved how quirky and how, like, I feel like I really got a sense of your personality. But then as soon as I heard the brand, I was like, oh, this isn't real. If I was in a casting and trying to pare it down, it would give me a reason to say no. And that's, for us, we always want you to come from a perspective when it comes to a demo of give them no reason to say no. We always want people, exactly what Tish said earlier, we always want people to say, ooh, what else? I want more. I want more of this.
I want to listen to that again. Or, ooh, what else can they do? I want to give them an audition now because of this awesome demo.
I believed everything. So I want my company brand name with her voice. And Tish, what about you?
Again, really like I got a sense of the person from that first spot that I really wanted to know more about. It sounded more demo-y as it went on. Like, here's the chocolatey spot. And like so it sounded a little more demo-y as it went on. I'm still intrigued. But as a demo, yeah.
And you bring up a really great point, Tish. When it comes to demos, there is no cookie cutter formula. Not everybody should have a luxury chocolate spot or a makeup spot
or a car
spot. There's no cookie cutter thing that or box that we need to put you into. And so that's what Tish means when it's like, oh, it feels demo-y. Because I'm sure Terry can absolutely do this luxury, like, rich thing, but it feels inauthentic for her as a human with everything else we were given. So it feels like it's like, oh, I need this because it's a demo. So just something to keep in mind, that all these buckets you don't have to fill. It's more about who are you as a human.
It's more about getting rid of the buckets.
Yeah, get rid of the buckets. Get them out of there.
There are no buckets. There is no spoon. All right, let's listen to Steve.
It's always better to check first, like checking Allstate rates before spending way too much on car insurance, or showing up to the vegetarian picnic with your family favorite ribs. Check Allstate first for a quote that can save you hundreds. And next time, maybe read the flyer. When you're creating, time stops. You have a goal, a purpose. To start takes boldness. To stay, courage. Creativity is more than art. It's the source of everything amazing in our lives. Bring yours to light. Full Sail University. Chris wants more win out of life, so what? He gets up early, goes to the gym, eats healthy, and gets plenty of rest? Man, Chris's life actually sucks. All that win your life wants? It's at Dave & Buster's. Ding, ding, ding. The Mercedes EQS. Welcome to the evolution.
That's 60 seconds.
Tish, you go first.
How many more seconds were there?
There was 39 more.
Yeah, no, that would be something that I think this, I love that first spot. I'm intrigued by where else it goes. There was one spot, the Busters, Dave and Buster's, that I didn't know the top and the bottom went together. Like it sounded like two different spots. And then I would also, I think it was like at least 17 to 20 seconds of the first spot.
20.
I think you can edit this so that it gives me more of a journey. Like, oh, I get a sense. Oh, yeah. And then I want to, in the first like little bit, I want to hear something different so that I keep on listening. Because so I think there's stuff that can be edited here. And then also, I thought this was intriguing because about a third of the way through, I thought, oh, is Steve African American? Could be. I don't know. But it was like I think that is great that that's how voiceover should be. Like, I don't know. But it's interesting in branding the voice. I don't know. There was like, I'm still intrigued. I want littler bits, like more and less. But the first spot sounded so like something on the air.
Yeah.
Like that's like that's national TV commercial production.
100%. The first spot, yes, it's way too long. Like you could cut over half of it and we'd still get the jokes and the brand and all that stuff. And it was interesting because the second spot, like, because we had this such authentic, real, like everything was singing for the State Farm spot, and then the second spot let us down. The second spot I didn't believe. It felt, I call it the pooping voice. I'm gonna hit every word. Where, and that's where we're working too hard. If I can feel the effort, something to just work a little less hard. So, but then the Dave and Buster spot, loved that. It felt so real. So I think with a lot of editing, this demo will sing way better.
Mm-hmm.
Way better.
Ditto.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting. So Steve, you are BIPOC. That's awesome. I think it's interesting in like figuring out the strategy of that, right? Of how do you roll with that and become known as it's an interesting bigger discussion of how that rolls. But lots of good stuff. Yeah.
Great. Let's listen to Megan.
McCafe now has cold brew beverages, and they're smooth. Made with 100% Arabica beans, steeped cold and slow for an irresistibly smooth taste. McCafe cold brew beverages for a limited time only at participating McDonald's. At WestJet, we offer great service, comfy leather seats, and live seatback TV from ExpressView. Book today at WestJet.com. Don't get too comfortable on board. You still have a vacation to take. There are perks to joining the best network. Switch to Verizon Wireless and get a $100 bill credit for every new Google Pixel 2 you activate. Half the weight, twice the support, 3 times as sexy. Introducing the Angel Max Sports Bra. Only available at Victoria's Secret. New Creamy Chocolate Chill. A higher level of chocolatey. Just $2.59 for a limited time, only at Tim Hortons. Your piglet foot squirms through the death grip of skin-tight denim. Every toe fighting for its fat little life. And with a gasp, your foot is birthed into the naked light of day. Now, for your other leg. Every 7 minutes, Habitat.
Okay. I think upon, again, it's way too long. It's like it has like 20 more seconds or more to go. Listening to it, I felt like I got a sense of who Megan is, but I was missing the range. I felt like I was hearing a lot of the same kind of energy and vibe and sense of humor throughout. Also, again, I don't know how to stress this enough. Like, the production matters. Like, I know that a lot of people are like, oh, like, just give me your dry voice and it'll be fine. Or, oh, just put some music under it and it'll be fine. No. A lot of times clients won't even use music. They'll just use sound effects. Or sometimes they use a combination of ambient and natural sounds to make it sound like we're actually seeing stuff on screen, and then the voiceover comes in and all of these mix and matches of stuff. This felt demo-y because the production let Megan down.
I agree.
Because it was just her voice with a different music bed underneath all of it. And a lot of the music choices were inauthentic to how these brands sound. Verizon, never heard music under a Verizon spot that sounds like that.
Yeah.
Especially not currently. And things like that. And when you're listening to these things and this is your world, and again, you have to remember that the people that are using these demos to get you work, this is their world. So you have to kind of be okay with the fact that there's somebody like me who's been listening to demos for 10 plus years, who's been involved in the commercial business and writes music for them and casts them and all of the things, who can listen to that demo and in 3 seconds be like, nope. Like, so these decisions matter.
Yeah.
So like with Megan in particular, I felt like the promise was there. And I was like, ooh, that McDonald's spot is so nice.
Good. So good.
And then everything else that came after felt like a letdown because it felt like either more of the same, or I caught on to the shtick. I caught on to whoever made this demo. I caught on to their, oh, they're just putting a different music bed under this thing. And it was glossing over and masking a lot of the great acting moments that Megan was bringing.
Yeah.
That's why production matters, is so that it doesn't overshadow you in any way. It's there to support you and to lend that extra 5% of magical authenticity to where it sets your performance in the real world. And it's like, oh, like just like that McDonald's spot. It is so freaking good. It was great.
Yeah.
But then everything else after it, I was like,
Felt like a letdown.
like you could just edit and just have the McDonald's spot and be fine.
Tish, what about you?
Yeah, I think I got caught up in the production a little bit more as it went on. I do feel in really good, strong hands with Megan, and felt some variety that is there. So I mean, I think it's solid. I think I got swept up in the production a little bit more. It all sounded kind of. This is a weird thing to say because it's a commercial demo. So to say, oh, it sounded kind of commercially, it's kind of like, well, it's commercial. However, I think there's some commercials that are at a certain level that we still find the authenticity within the commercially. That's the McDonald's spot, right? The McDonald's spot is usually the energy of a McDonald's spot needs to have a little bit of that oomph, that little commercially oomph. And I thought that captured it then. But then other things, how do other things sound and feel? And it kind of had that commercially oomph to all of the things. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
It's that difference between the announcer of what we all think commercials sound like, of like, welcome to Verizon, where it has that polish and shine, versus what a lot of commercials do today, where it's more real people. It feels more specific and authentic. And
Yeah,
so,
like, tell me about your phone. Like, oh,
yeah,
I've got an
exactly.
actually, I have an iPhone like 4. No, I would not be a good person for that ad, but no, I don't have a phone.
Well, and so since we have 40 minutes,
And we want to leave time for questions.
yeah, should we run through some of the character stuff?
I think we should.
Since we have so many.
We got a sense of what it is to listen through. I'm just trying to think if there was something that we listened through. Were there any of those commercial ones that we would be like, I'll bet you if we listened through, that would be 60 seconds. Do you think
I don't think so.
I think we got
we covered all
yeah.
the gist of it. Now it's just on an individual level,
Yeah.
like taking all the things we talked about and everybody being able to apply those things in their own way to whatever they need.
Yeah, so why don't we spend, I think we've got like 40 minutes left. So why don't we spend like 20 minutes doing like talking about the difference between the character and what we're listening for, and then we'll leave a good amount of time for questions.
Perfect.
So, just like we set the stage with the commercial stuff.
I'm sorry, someone's voice was something.
Yeah, I just have a small question. I saw my animation demo outside of the animation folder. Is that
Did it come in late?
Oh, there we go.
We got it.
Oh, thank you. Sorry about that.
Yeah, all good.
No, you're perfect. So just like we set the stage with the commercial stuff, is now we want to kind of set the stage for the expectations in this world. And so do you want to talk a little bit about the difference between the different kinds of demos and why we don't use the name character anymore?
Yes.
I know we just use that for today, but in the future, like, we don't ever want to label things character.
So, and here's why. So when it comes to character stuff, I see we have a lot of people who have character demos. Great. When it comes to animation and video game and character-based work, I always love to stress to people, think of who your buyer is. Who are you selling this demo to? An animation casting director is going to be listening to very different things than a video game casting director, because they're two different genres, two totally different mediums. Yes, there's some crossover, but in general, we want to be very clear about what this demo is doing for you and who you're selling it to. So I literally last week, I was talking to a casting director who works at Disney, and they were expressing how frustrating it is to get a demo that's a character demo, and they have no idea what it's from. Everything just feels like random voices, and so they can't connect to these characters in an authentic way. So things to think about when it comes to character demos is not just what is your voice doing? It should be, what are the characters doing? What life can you breathe into each of these characters? So your scene work should be very specific. The range of emotion should be very specific. Even from a script and production standpoint, can I tell the difference between, oh, this is from Disney Junior, oh, and this is from Adult Swim, oh, this is from Nickelodeon. They all feel different. Same with when it comes to video games. JRPGs feel very different from Call of Duty, very different from, you know, the AAA action adventure games. So these are all things you want to think about when it comes to character demos, even from a script standpoint, production standpoint, and a performance standpoint. So it's not just voicing, it's voice acting. We want to hear your acting. So again, there's so many different specifics that people are listening for when it comes to these different types of demos. Animation, we want to hear the extremes of your voices. We want to hear your comedy. What's your sense of comedy? When you get cast in an animated project, they'll bring you in for 3 different characters. So do I believe that I can put you in a scene where you're voicing 3 different characters and I can't tell that they're you? That's what we want to double check in an animation demo. When it comes to video games, this is where we want to hear your cinematic acting. Think of it like an on-camera reel, right? What emotional extremes can you do? You know, can we hear and believe your heart breaking versus having a rousing battle cry? Can you do efforts? Can you do accents? These are all things to consider. And if you're working with a demo producer, all things you guys should be talking about, because I can't stress it enough. It's not just about the many voices you can do. It's about your acting. So with that being said, let's dive into a few of these and see if we can hear the differences and feel where all this stuff is. And just like a commercial demo, in today's market for New York and LA, where a lot of the animation and video game casting is happening, you want to stick around 60 seconds for your demo. I know people are like, but I can do so much. Leave them wanting more. Always leave the casting director wanting more. 60 seconds is more than enough time. I promise you. All right.
Brilliant.
Perfect.
So I guess
Let's start from the top.
Okay, we'll just start from the top. That's a great idea.
One little note, guys. I'm trying to decipher it. 𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗀 Miles submitted for my reel for me while I was abroad and mislabeled. Could you delete the one that says Miles Jackson? So I think we can delete that one because I think it's
Miles Jackson?
yeah,
Okay.
and because I think 𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗀, if I'm saying
I'll just
okay.
mark it as red so we know.
Okay.
Stoplight system. Okay, great.
Let's go to Ben.
Ben.
We are stubborn creatures, and we will never give you our planet. So if it's a fight you want, then a fight you'll get. But I can assure you that you will all be destroyed!
Have you seen those traps the humans have been setting up? I mean, I saw Jerry try to grab this bit of cheese, right? And as soon as he moved it, wham! Huge metal bar pins him in place!
People touch my things!
Hey, little guy. I know Mommy's usually the one that reads you a bedtime story. She just asked me to take over for a while, okay? I know, buddy. I miss her too.
Already from the very beginning, I'm like, ooh, Ben's into anime. That first spot, that's very, like, for anybody who watches anime, I'm like, classic. I'm so here for it. So, Ben, I would label this as an animation or anime reel, just to add some more specificity. I felt that the scene work all felt really similar. A lot of stuff felt, and it could just be where we were clicking, but everything felt really like we're in these aggro moments. Everything, we end up shouting a lot. And even the
kind of had that ramp up.
The ramp up.
It started small and it was like, and then we went to the next one and it went,
And so, and even in the dad spot, it didn't feel fully connected. It didn't feel full. It felt like a box that you were put in, as opposed to something that you genuinely connect to and things that you, your heart was in it. So I would say, in general, I think we could be even more specific about the scene work. I would want to hear way more range of emotion and or comedy from you. And yeah, those would be my big notes.
Mm-hmm. And editing, because it's too long.
Yeah. Tish,
what do you think?
Agree with all of those things.
Great.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, let's jump down to another one and let's listen to this one.
Oh, I can't wait for all of our friends to show up at our party bunch. It's gonna be so very awesome!
Ah, I see you're a bright and noble young warrior determined to face the dangers that are ahead. Well, you have certainly come to the right place.
You really need to ease up on the berries after dinner, bro. Too much of that stuff gives you nightmares, and I can't get enough shut-eye. And you know how I feel about that.
Oh, no need to worry, my dear. I can assure you, your reputation is safe and secure with me.
Oh, yeah.
And all of us.
Can't complain, you know what I'm saying, bro? Yo, check it out. I got myself a new pad, new flat screen, game.
I like this range. Like, you have the range of voices and characters are really fun. That being said, I don't know what you actually sound like you as a human. And that's something to consider even when doing character stuff. We always want to include something of us just as a human as a character. Or like if it was me in a animated fashion, but the voice is still close to me. So I'm curious what, I'm going to say your name wrong. 𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗲? I said it wrong. I'm so sorry.
𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗧, I think.
𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗃?
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry. I'm curious what you actually sound like. And on top of that, I think this is one of those situations where the production has let you down. It feels like a demo. And I would be interested to explore with you more specific acting choices, because the voices are great. And the different types of scenes, fantastic. I think we could add even more movement and even more depth to each of these characters. I feel like it's a good start, but I think we could go another layer deeper.
Feels like a first draft.
Yeah, but again, I can tell they have range, which is fantastic. Any other thoughts, Tish?
I had thoughts. I had also enjoyed the range. I had thoughts of there was I'm not sure if there's a speech impediment in everything, but there was a bunch of lispy, like at first I thought it was character, but then I was like, oh, it seems like all of these characters have this sort of speech impediment. And then I went, oh, is that a thing? Like, is that Getty's voice? Like, so it was something I was aware enough throughout. And then as it went on, it had a little bit of more range. There seemed to be, I think, another thing in animation characters, in animation stuff, having characters that are various status is interesting, because there was like a lot of like royals but then having someone who's like, oh, I'm just a little thing, like that's an interesting other thing to take in. Yeah, so I was the thing that really turned it around was that last one was like really like, hey man, this is cool, and was a really cool contrast. So then I was like, oh, I see, there's a range. Yeah, but that lisp thing, that if it is your thing, that's great. Then with anything that is ours, right, we want to be able to go like, okay, this is my thing, and this is, I do it better than anyone else. And then how do we calibrate it? And once again, it's just also noticing what, if there's something that distracts you for a second or something that brings you in. So yeah, those were my thoughts.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, let's move right along to James. This is an animation demo. So already we're setting our ears for, okay, we're going to listen to an animation demo. So here we go.
Hey, Sage! Funny seeing you here in the school cafeteria line, where literally everyone has to get lunch. Okay, have a great lunch. See you in algebra! Or maybe I will skip algebra and just move to Canada, if it isn't Devlin the Good. I knew it was just a matter of time until your good fortune...
Max, I can't. I would make a great lookout. Sure, I don't have the height.
Right? It's like last summer, when you were in the waves at Ocean City. Assignment received and confirmed. Now to choose my secret identity.
Tish, how about you start us off?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different things. And I got a good range of things.
Yeah. I agree. I think there was a good range. And again, I think we can go even further. I think with the acting choices and with the scene work, we can go even further, because we don't, when it comes to animation, the things that, and depending on the ages you're going for, when it comes to younger animation for like teens and tweens, you know, you have characters that make big emotional jumps, and we didn't really get any of that. And so that would be something I would want to explore, get even more specific in your scene work. Also, with all of these things, I can't tell what networks they're from. I can't tell what your thing is, which could, like when Tish was like, yeah, it was fine. Yeah, it was fine. And we can go a step further and be even more specific about like, okay, I get the Looney Tunes comedy, I get the Nickelodeon comedy. That's what I'm leaning into, or the Adult Swim comedy. I want to hear where you fit and what your comedy is and what kooky characters you do. I think there's more to explore. Great. Ooh, let's move on to a lady. Female.
And then keeping an eye on time.
Yeah,
we want to leave 20 minutes for questions.
Yeah. We'll get through at least one, maybe two more.
Witches like yourself aren't welcome around these parts. Our magic is misunderstood and feared. Use it. Make them crumble at your feet.
Your maker!
Am I okay? I don't know. Are we ever okay?
Patience. Well. You must be the new girl. I could tell by the way you... Are you...
So this screams video game demo to me. The production choices, the acting choices, how everything felt really more cinematic, felt a little more serious. So I would label this as a video game demo. I think there was some repetition of character voices. So I think with some editing, it would sing even more. Even with us just clicking through, there felt like quite a bit of repetition. Yeah, but there were some really great moments. I really liked how I feel like I have a good range of your voices and the types that you play. You're into the villains. I definitely got that. You're into the villains and the badass characters. Yeah.
There was one moment when something really shifted to a different energy that was like, ooh, that's the ride that I'm talking about. Like, oh, wait a minute, we're here. Oh, and there was a real different feel to it, a real different like energy of the character and the scene and what someone was after. Like that little like, ooh, I'm with you. Is good.
Yeah.
Do we just, because we want to leave time for questions,
Yeah.
do we want to listen? Because we have it. We lucked into, so one of the people that Brittany and I were lucky enough to work with submitted their demo into the mix.
Not realizing that we were a part of this.
Not realizing that we were there. However, I know that this demo has booked them a lot of work recently.
And got them on some rosters.
And got them on some rosters. So we could listen to that just as a final kind of example. And it happens to be a video game demo, which we just translated into. And then we can open it up for questions.
How does that feel, Tish?
I think that's good. And then everyone who we didn't have a chance to get so thoroughly into, please come spend time, and we would love to give you feedback. So
yes, that is what the 15-minute and free, all the things. Please
get on all of our calendars.
Don't be shy. Get on there twice. make loops.
So Tuxedo August we worked with on a video game demo, and they were very specific about wanting to go towards video games. And like Ryan said, already this demo has gotten them work and on rosters.
The city's being overrun. We're all teeing off the Empire State Building, and now this? Can a guy catch a break? Guess not! Then what are you even doing here? We don't need any more dead weight. So, either lend a hand or get out of here. If I must. You didn't ask politely. They say 개천에서 영난다. I am that dragon, and my sword is lethal. Huh, it's from my father. I have to leave my studies and return home to rule at his side. I don't want to live out a life that was planned for me. Did my little beastie scare you? Why do you fight it? I am inevitable. You gotta help. There was this thing. I'm not saying it was a demon, but it looked super aggro. Or maybe it was a ghost. Anyway, it totally wrecked the place.
So hopefully what you could hear in that presentation is every single character sounded like it came from a different game, was put into a different emotional context, was put into different scenes, and all of the production choices and all of the acting choices were working together to create this movement and life in the scene. It wasn't just music with a crazy voice, or it wasn't, any of that stuff. Everything felt really specific to all the different genres of games we had talked about exploring with him, and all of that stuff, and really made it feel like these things came from actual different game properties and stuff.
So then as a video game director or casting director or producer, then I'm able to go like, oh, okay, this person understands all the things. We might be working on this game, but they understand all of the games and can deliver whatever is needed. So that goes back to, ooh, I feel in good hands.
Exactly. And it's like, okay, I get a good sense of their emotional range. So I trust that if I give them a character that has, a tragic backstory or something, I know they can emotionally handle that load. So yeah, but I mean, thank you to everyone who submitted. Again, if we didn't get to your demo, please get on our calendar. If we did get to your demo and you want more feedback, please get on all of our calendars. So yeah.
Awesome. So real quick, we'll do like 1 minute of announcements. So this day is something that is the third week of a free thing that we do the third week of every month. It's called Get to Know VO. This day was the Demo Listen Derby. So the first Wednesday of the month, Ask the Sensei, free Q&A. Third Wednesday of the month, Get to Know VO. So please please feel free to get the rhythm of the dojo into the flow of your month. We're here for you, and here to support you in all ways. If you're just starting out, or well, not even if you're just starting out, because it's the beginning of all of our journeys. Our next You Should Do voiceover launchpad and workout is coming up April 26th. The next one will be in June after that. If you are on your audiobook journey, we have an audiobooks. You Should Do audiobooks coming up with Ronnie Butler. And then we have our thevodojo Pro Fight Club, our working pro workout that we do 3 times a month. That everyone, if demo repped and booking to be a player, Everyone can be a spectator, brings together top-notch talent with the decision makers who hire us in all different genres. So please check that out. We have Portia Scott is coming up on Thursday. If you have any ambitions of being anything in animation, Portia is a force of nature in is an agent at Coast to Coast. She's a force of nature in the animation realm and represents people across the board. Yeah, a fantastic opportunity. So yeah, check that out. And we're here with and for you always. So that's the dojo ad. That's what's up at the dojo. Let's jump into your questions. Who's our first question? Kelsey.
Joseph Simon, come on up with your question if you can. If not, I'll read it for you.
Okay. So this is a interesting eclectic question. Have you thought about fusion of different thought processes into a new type of voice acting never done before, like engineering themes into voice acting in a sense?
That's interesting. For us, I mean, when it comes to voice, what we're doing here with voice demos and that type of stuff, we are hired to do things that are out in the world right now, right? So I'm sure there are other ways to do voiceover and all that stuff, and absolutely being creative and trying out different stuff. But when it comes to the industry, and when it comes to demos and what we do, we want to serve people that are making things right now. So we want to serve things that are out in the world right now.
Oh, so things that just like are happening right now, like what people are trying, buying right now, and
Exactly.
know your audience, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly what a demo is. Yeah, good.
Absolutely.
Good. Awesome. Thanks for that question, Simon. Joseph. Sorry, Joseph Simon. Thanks for that. Thanks for that
Oh
question.
yeah, of course. I do have one more.
But that's okay. We've got a lot of questions and a little bit of time, so please do get on our calendar.
Move right along.
Talk more.
Oh, actually, Ryan and Brittany, could you do me a favor? So a lot of people were asking, how do you edit your metadata? Do you know how to do that? Or
It's when from when you're exporting everything.
Okay.
So if you have a specific, it depends on where you're exporting things from. If you have a specific question about how to do that for your specific situation, because it's different for everybody, jump on our calendar and we can walk you through it. Because it just depends on how things are exported.
Right. Okay. Then we have Noelle. Come on, Noelle, very regular around here.
She's part of the M10 program, yeah.
Oh, hi, Noelle.
Hi. I've been around here for a while. I have kind of a broad question, so feel free to only give one tip. My question was for someone that's kind of, starting out, you want to have something that you can give people, so you're thinking homemade demo for now. And I was wondering if you had any advice for a person that has some editing skills but does not want to make it sound tacky or overproduced or try to pretend that it's a professionally produced demo. I was wondering if you had any advice for creating that first sample.
I love this question. Yes, absolutely. Because for all of us, we all start at different points of our journey, right? And when we're at the very beginning, we don't necessarily need to or want to create and pay for a big demo, right? Because we're at the beginning of our journey. So that's a really great question. So what I always recommend, and I did this when I was starting off, what I would recommend putting together something called a sample reel, or you could call it a voice sample. That way, when people get it, they're not thinking, oh, it's a demo. I'm comparing it to all these other demos that are professionally made. So naming it a sample reel or sample voice or things like that will automatically put us in the mindset of, okay, this is someone who's at a different part of their journey, and I'm not expecting a fancy produced demo. On top of that, whatever demo you're doing, and because you're putting together a sample reel, don't worry about production. focus on your voice and your acting. Make sure your voice is recorded really clear, really well, and don't worry about production. So that way, again, and calling it a sample reel, there will be nothing distracting. Our expectation will be, okay, this is just going to be a vocal sample. I'm going to hear what this person does so I can get a good understanding of what they're doing. And I'm not going to be distracted by maybe, not great music editing skills or things like that. So it's all about mentality and mindset. So did that answer that question?
That's great. Thank you.
That's everything that I would have said as well. Yeah. Good. What other questions do we have?
Terry.
Hey.
Make
Hi,
us merry.
Brittany and Ryan. Hey, Dojo team.
Hi.
Thanks for taking my question. I wanted to know, what are some of the differences when it comes to the music bed and sound effects between video games and animation production?
Great question. Sorry, our dog has an upset tummy, so Ryan had to go take care of that. So you're stuck with me. But we're on the same page when it comes to that stuff. So it's so different, right? Because it all, even from animation, Adult Swim, their production choices are very different from Nickelodeon, very different from Disney Junior. Video games, the same way. First-person shooters, very different from those cinematic AAA action games. So what I always tell people when it comes to music production and sound design, you don't want it to be a music and sound design reel. The acting should always come first. That is the most important part of this. When it comes to music and sound design, honor what you're referencing. When we're doing demos, we always reference actual games, actual shows, so that it feels familiar, so it feels real and authentic. So my advice is, if you're interested in doing music and sound design and those types of things, and that's something that you're interested in exploring for yourself, play games, watch animation, reference real things, because that's what everybody is going to be comparing your stuff to, is what's actually out there.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, always everything is there to showcase what you're bringing.
Yeah.
You don't want to be like, oh, that was a cool sound effect. Yeah. Good.
All right, Robert, come on up, my friend, if you can.
Which maybe you had to roll.
All right, then I'll ask. What is y'all's favorite part of producing a demo reel? Oh, wait, Robert's here. Robert, get your voice in the room.
Oh, there you are. Hey, Robert.
I literally just had to use the restroom, but hey, good to see Ollie.
Hi, Robert.
Hey, good to see you.
You too.
Okay, let me see here. So my question was, actually, let me sit down. What's your favorite part of producing a demo reel? I don't think I've asked you this.
Yeah. What Ryan and I really love about producing any type of reel is finding what is important and unique about each actor we work with, because every actor is so different and is coming from such different life experience, and their interests are all so different. And so for us, kind of getting to the heart of who each person is the most exciting part for us, because we always want our demos to never feel like a next level voice demo. We want it to feel like your demo. No one should ever be able to say, oh, Ryan and Brittany clearly did that demo, they all sound the same. No, everything should feel like you, and every demo feels different because it's all focused on each individual actor. So that's my favorite part.
Yeah, like Kelsey said, every single time, 2 seconds. Guess it happened to me today.
Yeah.
Always.
And in terms of preparing people for their demos, I think it really is taking the time and space to understand who you are and understand what the work is, right? You can have an idea of like who you are at the beginning of your journey, but who are you when you're ready to make a demo, and it will never be, we'll always be evolving and moving, we'll always cross that first threshold. But for me, the process of creating a space where you have enough time and space to understand what you're bringing to the party, what the parties are, and then what you're bringing to the party, and then having the confidence and the clarity. And we always like to train, to be able to deliver 2 steps ahead of what you're going to have on your demo, because you're going to be getting those opportunities. So it's like creating that space for you to be ready to shine all the things with your understanding of yourself and the business. That's super fun and super fun. And it takes time.
Yeah, it does take time.
Yeah. Who's next, Kels?
We have Ed Moskowitz.
Hey.
With the beautiful studio.
Hey there. It just told me my internet was unstable, so I don't know what's going on, but I'm here. So the question is for that first impact, when you first open up an MP3, is it more important for a music downbeat or for the voice to hit? Which one would you prefer to hear?
Honestly, it depends on the spot and depends on the voice. Again, like what we said, there's no cookie cutter way to do it. What I would say though is, if you do choose to have music begin, like a thing, have it be super short. If I can't hear your voice within the first second or two, next.
Copy that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Good questions, guys.
Yeah, I love these questions.
Jenny Kidd.
Hello, hi, I'm Jenny. Thanks for being here. Thanks for having us. My question was about copy. Legal, where do we get copy that's legal that we can use? Are we allowed to take from YouTube commercials that we see? Same goes for music as well. And if not, where are good places to get usable copy that isn't like practice copy or made up brands, unless that's what you'd like to hear?
That is a very great question. And so what I always like to tell people is when it comes to making a demo, you want to work with someone, because this is pretty much industry standard now. You want to work with someone who writes original scripts for you based on real brands. This is what we do. When it comes to using actual copy and actual spots that are out in the real world right now, odds are high when you send your demo out to casting or to agents, one of them has worked on that campaign. One of them cast or had one of their clients be cast in that campaign. And this has happened before with Tish, where somebody on their demo had a Subaru campaign that she did, word for word. And she was like, no, you didn't book this. This is my campaign. I booked this. And so that goes back to what we were talking about with authenticity. So we want to give the listener no reason to say no. So if you're looking for copy to practice or to put together for one of those samples that we were talking about, feel free. Use whatever you need as a way to pitch yourself. When it comes to a professional demo that you want to get like a fancy agent and you want to really showcase your skills and send it out to like more top tier clients, you want to work with somebody who's going to write original copy for you with real brands and based on actual brands and their marketing campaigns. Again, that's what we do. And that is pretty much industry standard from all the legit demo producers that I know. If they don't do that, maybe don't work with them. And with music, when it comes to music, there's so many different things. We pay for a library, a music and sound design library. Ryan's also a composer, and so if he needs to write something, he will. But we always make sure that our music we can legally use for whatever you need. Anything I missed, Tish?
Yeah, no, I think you articulated it very clearly. Oh, the other thing, the variation on that is, fun finding the balance of knowing yourself and knowing what you're bringing to the party, and then finding the producer that resonates with you, who is not only someone who is used to producing music or something, but someone who knows about producing voiceover demos, right? Like there's a really specific little Venn diagram that comes together. But I think also, particularly if you have a producer brain as a performer, right, or as a human, you start thinking like, okay, so how do I take care of everything, right? So I think there's a little mindset shift of your job is to get to know who you are, what you're bringing to the party, and then you collaborate with your demo producer, and you want to know enough about yourself to make a good choice of finding someone that you feel comfortable with, et cetera, et cetera. Asking the right questions with Brittany and Ryan are very straightforward of like, these are questions you can ask us. These are questions you should ask anybody that you're talking with. But you don't have to do everything. In fact, it's better not to cut your own hair.
No, I 100%. I always tell people, I'm like, yeah, you can change the oil in your car, swap out the tires, you can do all the things. But do you want to spend the time learning how to do that so you don't break your car? I don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that was a great question. Thank you so much.
All right. 𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗪𝗀, is that how you say your name?
𝗨𝗪𝗀, close enough.
Okay.
What's your question,
Come on
dear?
up, ask your question.
Sorry, I thought you were gonna read it out or something. My question is just, so I heard that like animation is 70% comedy and 30% drama, and video games are, I guess, reversed. So if you want to do primarily grounded adult animation like Arcane or Invincible, would a video game demo be better to submit for that?
No, it all depends on your goals. It all depends on who you are and what you're interested in and what your strengths as an actor is.
Because remember, the people who are casting the video games are not the same people who are casting the Arcanes and the whatever and the shows. So if you were to put together a video game demo and send it in to the people who are producing Arcane, for example, then that wouldn't go over well. And the same thing is vice versa. Like if you were to send in your
animation demo to the League of Legends casting director,
then that wouldn't go over
same
well.
Property, but whole different group of people.
So you want to keep that in mind, that the people who are casting and building out video games are not the same people who are casting and building out animated shows.
And so when you are talking to a demo producer or working to work on your demo, putting your demo together, that's something you can strategize and say, okay, as an actor, I'm really interested in adult animation. And then we would find the nuance within that and really showcase off the different acting choices and scene work that's in adult animation versus, you know, not necessarily like the Looney Tunes and Animaniacs and that type of stuff.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, great question.
Great question. This is where it comes back to the no buckets thing, right? Is it's all about getting clear about what's important for you and then building something that's organic from the inside out, as opposed to being like, we have these 8 buckets to fill and like, let's just drop you into one of these buckets and send you on your way. No, that's not how Brittany and I operate, and like that approach helps nobody.
Yeah.
So it's really just about getting clear about what's most important to you and going from there.
And I think this is really a good caveat, or not caveat, that sounds so serious, but a good thing to keep in mind is a lot of people come to this work going like, oh, you know what my absolute heart's desire is? I want to do animation. I want to do video games. That is fantastic, and keep on building your skills. It's also really helpful to know how the world of voiceover works, and really to get access to regular auditions for the opportunities at the higher levels in those realms is at this point mostly still through good agents. So then you want to play, then you want to play the game in the good way, right? Not like play the game, but like, okay, so this is how it works. This is where I want to get to. What do I need to get to here to get access to this? Which means also developing yourself as a solid commercial, knowing what you bring and how you're bringing something to the party at that level of agency level, right? And not that other things can't happen before and again, but just understanding that these things go together. It's not just because you want to do animation that you could make your animation demo right away. Because once you get to these places, if your commercial demo, it really expresses the essence of you and a range of what you can do, then your agent is going to be able to go and then you say, you know what my burning yearning is? To do animation. They'll be like, okay, let's go. But then the opportunities will come and you'll be able to audition for them, for which you may or may not need a demo, right? It's a little more complex. It's a little more complex in terms of that goes back to understanding what is the landscape, how does it work? But you want to start thinking about that because a logical mind would go, oh, I want to do animation. I should make an animation demo, right? And yes, right? Does that all make sense?
Yeah. So if like, for example, I have a character demo that doesn't necessarily show off a lot of my like grounded reads for adult animation, as long as somebody can vouch for me, then it's not a big deal necessarily.
Well, you kind of want both. You kind of want both, but but in terms of how, like maybe what order or how you do it, you might explore and feel that out. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, there is no one way to do it. I wish there was. It would make it easier for all of us. And so if there's, that is something that you want to strategize with either your demo producers and or your coaches and or your agents. That's what all these people and your support system are there for, to go through everything and kind of strategize things with you to set you up in the best light possible, since they have presumably a lot of industry knowledge that they can bring to you and bring to your situation. So
thank you.
Do we have time? How many more questions do we have? I think maybe we go for a couple more minutes and then wrap up.
Yeah,
let's do one more.
Yeah, let's do one more.
Question from Big Rob Smith. Come on up.
Hey, thank y'all for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, this has been great. My question was, and I can expand it a little bit, like when you're going through that list of 400, you're looking for ways to get rid of people fast, more so than find the people you're looking for. So like even in poorly labeling the file based on what was asked for, it could get an instant ejection without even being listened to, right?
Yes.
Because think of it this way, when Ryan was in the casting office, right, and he was going through all these demos, let's say something was labeled in a funky way, right? There was something weird or like a weird picture attached to it that has nothing to do with what we're doing. He has to send that to his client. And so his client is going to be like, why does this not feel all shiny and professional? This is not what, so they're putting their reputation on your stuff. So that's all an extra little layer of things. So when we talk about like when we talk about have nothing that's distracting, that's what we're talking about. We want you to last to the end and give them no reason to say no. We only want them to agonize over, oh my gosh, Rob is so great. I think he'll be right for this, but I don't know, maybe, okay, I'm just going to put him in. They asked for 10, I'm going to do 11 because I just have to. That's what we want for you.
Yeah, it's just about getting rid of any opportunities to say no that would be a distraction from connecting to you and what you're doing. And then that from the get-go with labeling and with the length of your demo and some other little nitpicky things, that already sets you up for success and will get you through the gateway where other people get lobbed off you know?
And those are things you can control, which
Right.
as an actor, there's so many things we can't control. I'm like, great, I can control this little thing.
I can label it. I can make sure it's an MP3. I can do this, I can do that, like whatever it is, you know. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
I think, and this is a great thing to finish up on. I think coming from the mindset, one of the things we say at the dojo all the time is there is no they, there's only we. So understanding from anything that you are sending in is how can you be part of the solution to make someone else's day easier, better, get their job done faster because, oh, send the others away. Rob's here. Awesome. Great. That role is in, right? So coming from that perspective of what can I do to make everybody else's job easier is a much healthier, more empowered way to think of it than going like, I've got to get everything just right. How do I make it just right? How do I get a gold star? Like that's a disempowered. I got to do it right because what do they want? What I got to do it right because what do they accept? You know, when I submit my thing, what am I? You know, it's like so. How do we take responsibility? Take control in that we are part of the team. So think of yourself as part of the team and what all of your actions do to make everybody else's life easier. And then that's how you get repeat clients.
100%. Great question, Rob.
Golf
What
clap.
a good one to end on.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Thank Brittany and Ryan, thank you so much. Kelsey here, thank you for joining us and keeping everything going. Everybody, we're so happy that you're able to be here. And we really look forward to getting to talk with each of you more about wherever you're at in your demo process. If you want to hear more about the demos that you delivered, or you're in the process of making a demo, we're really excited to get to talk with you and be here to guide, support, connect, and accelerate you on your journey. So, and we will have a replay. So, if you want to share this or share something that you got from it, we can, we'll have the replay, and so you can share it with anybody else who might be interested as well. So.
And thank you all so much. This was fantastic. And, we're so excited to chat with you all more and, see you out there, hopefully across our desks at some point. And, whether for a casting or whatever. And thank you again for spending your time with us today. And Tish, thank you for having us. Like, it's always such a joy.
Yeah, it's good finding the people that you are collaborating with. Making our own we.
Yeah.
All right, friends. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next time. Portia's coming up tomorrow. All sorts of good things. So stay close and keep on the trail.
Bye, everybody.